Here, the instructor is clearly trying to reach the student on a personal level by talking about her own experience as a therapist. That kind of information can create a bond between student and instructor. The instructor is almost speaking to the student as a colleague, talking about what she feels as a fellow member of the therapy community. And thus, this decreases the distance between herself and the student. The student is likely to respond positively to this, which can build confidence and overall rapport between student and instructor. We've heard a lot about the importance of faculty showing concern for their students. Now let's break this down a bit to see what it means. How do faculty show concern for their students, and what are students looking for from a faculty member? One study of adult students identified 7 components of caring within a teaching relationship. They are 1, to be noticed, 2, to be understood, 3, to have one's concerns be a priority, 4, to have one's best work be recognized, 5, to be shown value, 6, to be shown trust, and 7, to be respected. It's helpful to keep these in mind as you interact with your students. These researchers found that graduate students generally are more concerned with instructor caring about their intellectual growth than undergraduates. Partly, this is because they feel themselves closer to their instructors. Not only are they closer in age and common experiences, but graduate students are generally expected to someday become colleagues to their instructors when they enter the profession. A faculty member demonstrating care in this context means treating the students as something closer to equals than would be the case with undergraduates. The study also identified 4 things that instructors could do to cultivate a sense of caring for the student. They are: 1, pause between intention and action to ask how your action will affect the relationship. Our first thought when grading an assignment is to convey the needed information. Of course, this is important, but we can't let our focus on the content of the correspondence blind us to the context, and especially how it will be received. Just as it's a good idea to reread an email you're about to send when you're mad, it's a good idea to spend a moment after you have given feedback on an assignment to think about how the feedback will be interpreted, and whether the overall tone or thrust of your feedback might have unintended consequences. This could lead you to adjust parts of your feedback. 2, set mutual expectations. The welcome letter is a place for faculty to not only introduce themselves to the student, but also to lay the groundwork for feedback. Consider including information on your feedback philosophy. For instance, simply stating something like, "I am always very direct in my assessment of X, and so don't take this as an indication that I think you are doing poorly," could help the student interpret your feedback in the right light. Being explicit about how you want your feedback interpreted and the philosophy behind your feedback will make it more likely that the student will take the feedback truly to heart. 3, show empathy for the student. We have to remember that our students may not be used to reading academic work, and just as it took us time to pick up the skill of digesting dense academic material, it'll be a learning curve for them to pick that up as well. It's helpful to let students know that you understand that it's difficult, that everyone goes through it, and that if they keep at it, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that they will improve. Finally, 4, monitor the relationship. Faculty tend to focus on the student's immediate work and providing feedback on that work. But it's helpful for faculty to periodically ask themselves about the relationship with the student. Is the student becoming less or more responsive to their feedback? Is the student incorporating more or less feedback into their work? Is the student asking more or fewer questions than before? What is the tone of the student's responses to the faculty member? These questions can be cues to the nature of the learning relationship and whether you need to reach out to the student to talk about it. Now it's time for another reflection. Take a look at the following response to a student's work and ask yourself, 1, what do you think motivated the response? And 2, what would have been a better way to express the idea? Pause the presentation, write your thoughts on the worksheet, and then restart it again.